พูดไปนะ Marcasile, Attaining, Roma, nothing how one Rodi Chimamnon, one thing has shown Roma Sapasatang Peona, this Salat Namatang, so the country, actually, one two chocolate, Manshi, one would join the show. Tanga took one could travel by the more left Charlie, 3 other days. young check, 3 Sapasatang Peona, young to check, they were too much in it. Moma Bruno Musicari, so he must not be out there, so around doing it in two Pachimbury, this Halanatano Gish.
Dama friends, Tashitele. First, I would like to ask you a question, and that is among you, if there is anyone who has never received an empowerment before, who is completely new to that, if that's like your very first time, then please raise your hand. And that is because now most of you have received a lot of empowerments before. So maybe you don't require so much introduction. Actually, I have given an incalculable number of empowerments, so many that people already kind of have a flat head from having the base placed on their head. And so, however, if you're new to this, then you also require some introduction. Because if I wouldn't give that, then you would not be able to really recognize the nature, understand the nature of this empowerment. And then, of course, once you have been introduced, then it's up to yourself, whether or not you actually retain that in your mind. But in the beginning, anyways, the introduction is very important. So if that's your very first time, if you're completely new to this, have never received an empowerment before, then please raise your hand.
Or Sabapi Mambo Pedro, can't be avoided. The Lapotati Sigalubala, Sanagala February. There is one Chibandi, Mohaga Chiba, one Jins on Justice Woke, the one the Sangari, Sotata Sansila, one Mareso. The Kikan Shap Chibu, the Kiamara, the Dangonti, Shap Chibu, one the Genitally, Magate, one the no colosum, Lam Zawson, the Ravijula, that's the yoga secretary, Sarah and Julia took us in the Lignancy, but it tabla, somehow one chepareso. The sound, the sound, oh, till Kachimbo, till the sound of Marity. Matapa, Tabella, and post on the Karacho Botella, Chocolate Petella, or Ransang, Believe says also Kazak, Sudri, Dama, Table, or Tibetri, Samachi by young tourists, but the sound of marriage. Sanji Savati, Chila, you, my Law Chong Tapamina Sang. 若冲洗把这里饮品的老熟家庭们呢，这里小这是冲有的，这个饮品的老家庭们，这里在南面个这里上海的中国这个有的，别的他说那就差的，他把亲不是进来这里，上线的这里上海用过的。
So there are quite a few new people to that, and that's also excellent. So actually, in general, many lamas of the secret mantra have come. The Vajrayana have visited Western countries now. And so now we have received many empowerments. And empowerment in general, Chigden Sumgön had said the difference between the sutras and the tantras is the empowerment. So in the Vajrayana, in the secret mantra, that is where we receive an empowerment. In the path of the sutras, or the individual liberation and the bodhisattva path, we are not receiving an empowerment. And so what makes the difference here is that someone who has already engaged in training and practice in a previous life, now in this life possess a greater degree of wisdom or intelligence, and they can understand the meaning of the secret mantra and the empowerment. So the basis are the 3 jewels, and the path, the 3 roots. And now, on that path then, for example, people practice yoga with their bodies. And it's in a similar way we train our body by visualizing the deity. So that is a special, this practice is a special method, a skillful means of the secret mantra. And that is what we are introduced to during an empowerment. And so now in terms of this, the meaning of the secret in the secret mantra, so the reason why it is called secret, it's important to understand that too. It does not mean that it's secret in the sense of it's given, it's kind of exclusive, it's only given to some but not to everyone. So this is not how it is, but it is secret because it is very hard for people to understand its meaning. For example, it is like you're giving a very potent kind of strong food to a little, like an infant or so, a child. It would just be overwhelming. So in the same way, it is with the secret mantra. And in that sense, it is naturally hidden because we simply can't understand its meaning. And it is said that instructions must be given in accordance with one's mental capacity, the capacity of the practitioner. And so the secret mantra is not secret because in sense of that it is given to some but not others in this exclusive way. And also it is said that the secret mantra is not secret because there is something wrong with those teachings. There's a fault that is to be hidden. But it remains naturally secret from those with inferior minds, those with lesser aspiration. And so that has to do with an altruistic mind. If one's altruistic mind is very limited, then also one's wisdom capacity will be much more limited. And if one's altruism is vast, then just naturally one will have the wisdom to understand the meaning of the secret mantra. As we mentioned before, the Mahayana kind is like a vast ocean. So having entered the Bodhisattva path, from there on one enters the secret mantra path.
메토가 사용될 메토가 용대 차창 요래지 메토가 사용될 메토될 된 제비종 사제 공방 말 십지 사제를 민발세 봐지 십지 사제를 민발에 강들 메토가 사우디 야고 tip제스는들이 들 메토 잡타면 사용적고 요래 tip에 하고서서는 십지 삼지 샘데 사제 저 메토가 사용다고 그래시 이렇게 마음이 바가지들이 트리체를 좀 삼대를 보다는 리셈이야 트리치 메토 사운드 메토 용디 마좀 다적을 이들이 코와 마 지왕지지 놈 저거 왕 전에 들 좋아하더라 과자 대joku 요래 그런 용을 트리치 메인이 메토 사운드를 메토 이 차탕적으로 때 민발세 봐지 신기 사제를 민발제도 왕인이지 대고나들이 제가 왕제가 중화 자타바시나요 동적으로 고고래 나 마음이 봐세 봐 민지래 마음이 봐가라고 세미가 다 타마가 나가다 오지 세트니자다 라가 머리에 타마테 습지속 잡아서 도로가래나 라가 르다 세미가 타마티 바래 소남 최종마도 들이지 르셈니가 셈데 우리 사용을 들이 미마터라 들이 뭐마다 들어오니 제발 가래 제대로 이왕지게 다리니 뭐 왕들이 이왕 잘 용띠께서고요 말이 들이 미래도 들이 하고서는 왕 같이 쉬라는 팽기요래 소설 것들이 소종종 다리는 경아 남강나 소종인 거래 상하가 소종들 왕을 했지 대 왕을 했지 라면 고요래 들이 동시랑가 왕리 쪽을 이담난 칼 건네 이제 좀 보라는 옆에 들랑가 왕질이지 왕도 차단시서라고 왕주 쪽을 드디 발을 답을 자와는 먼저 간간한 왕들이 또 그래 왕들 님티 주스를 relatiቭ 왕을 삼로다네요 그래서 동바스 다지가 말이 당다서고 비슷하다고 왕 탐지 동지발이 대하고를 들어와서 다 하고 그래 왕양당의 순환이 좋고 그래 왕 토성을 개발이 남들어서 왕 뜻도나 좋고 그래 가이스는 그래 왕도 돈다 노도디 지적이 침벌해야지
So what is the true meaning of the empowerment? It is referred to as the ripening empowerment. And so the ripening is just like the ripening of a seed into a flower. Within the seed of the flower, all the qualities of the flower are already complete. And when that seed ripens into a flower, then the fruit will also grow from that. And that fruit is the state of enlightenment. So the empowerment is given in order for sentient beings to ripen into Buddhas. And then once the fruit has ripened, then once the flower has grown into a flower, then from one flower, many hundreds and thousands of more seeds are produced, emerge from one flower. So this is an important example to understand. All sentient beings possess the cause of enlightenment, or Buddha nature, and that is that seed within them. But that seed is currently unripe. And why is it unripe? It is not ripened because beings only think about this life. They use their body and mind just for this life only. And that is why, even though the qualities of the flower are contained within the seed, they do not emerge. It doesn't grow, ripen into a flower, because beings only think about themselves. They are controlled by the 6 afflictive emotions, which causes them to go around in circles in the 6 realms of samsara, where they are bound to experience suffering. Then if that seed ripens, one seed ripens into a flower, and all those qualities are within the seed. So that's the purpose of the empowerment, to ripen that seed. And so then it is fine if you receive any empowerment, an extensive empowerment, a brief empowerment. You can receive hundreds of empowerments, but it's important to understand that all of these empowerments, no matter what is their nature now, all have the same meaning. And that is, they ripen that which is unripe. So now normally when we look at ourselves, our body, our mind, we have an ordinary perception of ourselves, and we think that this is how I am, this is who I am, this body, mind. So then, when you look at a precious human body or an animal, whatever being you look at, they all have the same body and mind. And we just appear in different ways due to different levels of merit accumulated. But that's the only difference. So recognize that seed. If that seed, everyone has that seed, whether it's a human or an animal. But the only difference here is, has that seed ripened or not? And so when we are controlled by self-grasping and the afflictive emotions, we have no self-control. So we are controlled by those afflictions. And for as long as we are controlled by something else, these qualities of the flower cannot emerge. It cannot grow into a flower. So when you understand that, then you know that however many empowerments you receive, it is very beneficial. Because, for example, in the sutra tradition of individual liberation, there is a practice called the sojong, or it means purifying and restoring. And that is certain days in a month where we take a vow to purify and to restore virtue. And it's usually practiced on the full moon day and the new moon day, for example. And in the secret mantra, the sojong is actually the empowerment. And actually, now the guru, the Vajra master, confers an empowerment, but actually, once you have understood the meaning of the empowerment, you can also take a self-empowerment. And for that, you would visualize the Yidam deity in the space before you. And because you already possess Buddha nature, you can receive the empowerment in that way, if you understand the meaning of the empowerment. Or from a distance, for example, when His Holiness the Dalai Lama is giving an empowerment anywhere in the world, you can receive that from wherever you are. So we have to bring to mind the meaning of the empowerment and reflect on that throughout the 6 periods of day and night. So it is just like a vow, like a sojong vow that we take in order to purify any transgressions and restore virtue. So that's important to understand. And if you understand that point, then if you wish, you can receive many empowerments. Now you have to understand that they all have the same meaning. Then you can receive many empowerments. Or if you really engage in practice, you can just receive a single empowerment, and that's sufficient as well. So what's important to understand here is the root to understand here is that the meaning of all empowerments is really one and the same.
문제래다 찾기가 왕그 다음 대화 등은 주만 연구요래 왕기 소다디 시소로 나왕 톱나 내가 포리스로 나왕 타톡 사지 공방 마탑을 빠데 벨라 대이 라왕이고요 운이 그라왕데 그 강라 농수리 서래들 딱 잡을려나 답치산들이 Lama Givijini Saji to top trang, Niba, Laptalogi Yore, Round Topson County. Devani Deva Bato Ramant. Oh, the Mina, Nakeup Sajo Sanatin, Nakeup tourism to Ramang. Nakeup tourism Ramang, the Ben Zabalina, Dongi Kaji, Young Kashir, Dongi my only Bena Mago Yore. Oh, committing the Mateli Yore, Savar 가시들이 몇째 강화강에 체들이 딱히 레그 저거 돈을 나왕이 봐서 저거 돈을 나왕이 봐서 다 왕나들이 답이 출로 그랬더니 저거 돈을 나왕이 봐 저거 돈을 나왕이나 그랬지 라왕을 빼나 니마도 다와 나가려 좋아하는 라왕이 그랬지 다다단 것을 제가들 나왕이 너 라왕 다다단 좁아잘 다 라왕 좁아 좁고요 정문은 산재비랑은 이걸 딱 하고 그래. 라왕이 듣고요 말에 내도 영지 차들 등문이 라왕들이 답이 줄로 그랬더니 라왕이 그 토촌에 다시는 장매 봐요. 죽음하고 다시는 둘이 답이 줄로 듣기면 이 안에 되게 다투 답이 줄로 그랬더니 사지적 공방토도 좋다. 나고 가서 다 그랬지. 이제 이번에는 또 답을 넣었다. 류롱 낙참해봐 세는 등해봐 배 장해봐 요래서 롱마소스는 제발 쪽발 말했대 대답 조톤이 기계 못해 산재들이 저기서 라왕이와 같이 와래서 우왕시바데 라왕그 동양 요래
And then one other meaning of the empowerment is it also has a sense of freedom or a kind of like autonomy of freedom, just like independence that countries seek. So it's related to that word of independence, of freedom. And if you look at a free country, at least beings experience well-being there to some extent. But then, of course, it is also up to their past karmas and various momentary conditions that they still sometimes experience difficulties. And so now, once you have understood the meaning of the empowerment and have attained freedom in that way, then the freedom that you attain is, in a temporary sense, birth in the 3 higher realms, and ultimately you attain the freedom of attaining enlightenment. So, for example, who is it in this world who has attained such kind of freedom? In the tradition of the Holy Dharma, there have appeared really countless great beings, many gurus, many spiritual teachers, Mahasiddhas and the Buddha and so forth. There are many stories of beings who have attained such freedom. And they have attained that freedom of progressing from happiness to happiness. But even if it's not like that, even just on the basis of relative bodhichitta, many beings achieve the freedom of happiness in the 3 higher realms. For example, in this world, even though there's a lot of suffering in the various countries in the world, some people still are not at all affected by that. There's many people who somehow do not get affected by all this suffering, who never encounter any difficulties their entire life. So we can see that. On the other hand, we can also see there's others who encounter difficulties just constantly their entire life. And so what that comes down to is the causes. It is said that real freedom is attained on the basis of causes. And so that's also the purpose of the empowerment and the path of the Holy Dharma. So here we attain freedom on the basis of creating the right causes. And so, even though in a mundane sense we can travel out into space and so forth to the moon, still there we experience warfares and all kinds of conditions that fall upon us. And then the reason why this happens is because the result has already ripened. So once the cause has been created and the result is already ripened, then it will be difficult to find freedom from those already ripened results. So what the Dharma teaches is that real freedom must be attained on the basis of the cause, not the result. So that's the difference between the worldly tradition and the Dharma tradition. And so there have been many beings who, based on the Dharma, many great accomplished masters who, based on the Dharma, have attained this freedom of enlightenment. And even in a worldly sense, there's also many beings who do not experience any physical illness or mental suffering. There's countless beings like that in the world. So there is many countries where beings experience well-being in that way. And so the point to be understood is that it is important to create freedom, to attain freedom on the basis of the right causes, creating one's own freedom through the right causes. And so that is another meaning of the empowerment. Empowerment also means this attainment of freedom or independence.
Joga Tony Raman Limbala, Jabi Domani, Gosson, Gosu, Ramante, the Raman Limbada, the Saji Goma Tobala, Nielam Taranam Niso, Niela Renam Kari, Sotarta Sansini, Namsa Langli, the same Dadi Bakchati, Jangli, Paradise Bato, Chubacheni, the Kashiri, tourism, compound rulatory, Ramji, Semtiboga, Sato, Semtiboga, Jometry, there is Ramson, there is Tiakashi, there is some Nielam Paris, there is Tamu Severan, the Chupachani, Severan Kali Togre. Yahoo was a Deity Lottie, Condramaton, Jean Prince at the stories. No Sava comes in the same to over Jim Prince Lot go yours. Lani Sotin or Doctor Sanji Jim Prince several times. Jim Prince, some dear to me, that is a passando, Jim Prince called Shark Chiamore, some dinner. Teratini, Sotarta, Sansin, remember this. That's a man, Yelamis. Or some man, Yelam, Carrier. Oh, same ground, the Jim Prince log. Oh, Matakorta, Jinapino. 가르쳐서는 뒤로도 지나 다들 시험적으로 이렇게 저는 처럼라고 시험에 다디면 장점진 처럼라고 차대요. 들이 뒤랑도 저는 또 상하잖아 그래. 그런데 가르쳐서 다른 랑을 리당 세서 낭주 세자 낭하가 말티네 속도 자니 리당하지 박찬들더니 양당양들더니 대사 유정로요래 상하가 탑라데리 다 상하가 행복이 남들 라고 와서 지 롱가디네 상하가 행복하리 다 르가 박차종을 남들 라양도 건 나도 박차 하다지 박차종아 나도 콜로 거는 마데 세고 박차도 나디기 동서데 리당 아니라 이게들이 라왕을 가리자 리당 플라틱 랑 대바다 다도 있어서 대바지는 게 담는 양들라나 갈고는 이제 세들 플라틱 나와 샤는만 나오냐 봐도 내가 차로 가리 제일만 양당도 사는 맥도 하면서 샤링을 대삼서 공수를 떨리더라고 터서 요 딱 말을 잘들이 자들들이 차당 모서 또바만 보다 잘들이 연구요래 단 잡을는 똑같은 또 잘들이 다 요요래 때도 다도니 되죠 때는 막 박샤들 다도니 되죠 막 장성아 말도 밤에가 소리도 밤에가 나도 달도 밤에가 자꾸 그 생고 쪼가 차트고는 생들랑 류당 아니도 바타서 박차 다도사데 들이랑 이 셈사적 셈리 들이랑 아이에서 메인들이 메도가니 들이랑 주고 자사 톤네 들이 로고다 쪽에 다 심지 동제에서 봐 들이 가자 즉 상제를 들이 봐 로고다 쪽 장매만 쪽에 산지 것은 산지를 용지 가려 산지 것은 그다 것은 아니 산지 쪽인데 산지 고망 토르들이 됐다고 산지 것은 용지 상을 들이랑도 다 통상만 되게 그래서 상하지 사용자도 검제도 하다와 하고 봐서 대상하고 제출에 들이 라자 손나들이 동지발에 라통제 센데 이시벨라들은 사족 셈래 나도 세번라운드 사족 세고 토고래 들이 왕 야심에 따뜻하고 하고 팽기요래 들이 왕가 동다 되래 들이
And so taking up freedom or attaining freedom on the basis of the causes begins with taking the refuge vow. And so then after that, now there basically are two paths to the attainment of enlightenment. And they are called, one is the longer path and one is the swift path. The longer path refers to the practices of the individual liberation and the bodhisattvas. And when one engages in those practices, one gradually purifies those imprints of self-grasping, and one practices the conduct of the 6 paramitas. And in this way, throughout the course of several lifetimes, one becomes liberated. So first one takes birth in the 3 higher realms, gradually lifetime by lifetime, and one continues to train in bodhichitta until one finally attains enlightenment. So that is the longer path. The secret mantra path is the swift or the close path. And so why is it called the swift path? Now, when it comes to achieving the freedom of the mind, the close path and the swift, or the long path and the swift path are exactly the same. So the mind cultivates bodhicitta in both of these paths. And so what makes the difference then? It is that there still is, now, first of all, there is this, what we understand in both paths, first of all, is that we understand the fault of self-grasping. So first there is this natural sense of, I want to be happy, a selfish mind. And then we realize that altruism clears that away. So then one focuses on cultivating altruism. In the 37 practices, it says, all suffering without exception comes from wishing for one's own happiness. The perfect Buddhas arise from the altruistic mind. So it is the altruistic mind that clears away self-grasping, which is the cause of all suffering. And when self-grasping diminishes and altruism expands, wisdom becomes vast. So this is what one practices also in the path of the bodhisattvas and the individual liberation. And so then, now, when it comes to the freedom of the mind, therefore, the swift path and the longer path are one and the same. So on both of these paths, we cultivate an altruistic mind, and each and every day we remember how important it is to benefit others, and slowly this ice block of self-grasping melts and wisdom expands. And so then what is the difference then between the swift path and the longer path? The difference has to do with our ordinary perception in terms of form and sound, the outer form and inner body, and the outer sound and inner speech. So even though we train the mind in bodhicitta in this way, there still is this strong habitual imprint in the mind of ordinary body and speech. And that remains in the mind, and that is why it takes just longer to attain enlightenment if we follow the bodhisattva and the sutrayana path, or an individual liberation path. So the special method in the secret mantra is, it is that the essence of the secret mantra is the Yidam Deity. So we visualize the form of the Yidam Deity, and we recite the Yidam Deity's mantra. By visualizing the form of the deity, the body, the form of the deity, we purify the ordinary imprints of body or form. And by reciting the deity's mantra again and again, we purify the ordinary grasping at speech or sound. And so in this way, the mind becomes free of all grasping. And this is how you attain freedom, then also of body and of speech. So when you practice a Yidam Deity, even just a single Yidam Deity, you practice that deity with complete trust, the three kinds of faith, the clear faith, the trusting faith, and the longing faith. You practice that deity, and the deity always appears in your mind. It never leaves your mind. It's always with you. If you habituate to that point, when you just close your eyes, the deity, even if just vaguely, will appear to you. So if you come to this point, then you have attained freedom of the body. And then with regard to speech, actually, it is really based on speech and the sounds, the words that we hear, that we normally develop all sorts of negative thoughts of attachment, aversion, ignorance, and so on. Actually, all the conflict in this world is really often created by just that, by our belief in the true existence of the sounds that we hear. So the thoughts arise in our minds, and these thoughts cling to the true existence of the sounds that are being heard, the meaning of those words that are being heard. And when that becomes purified through mantra recitation, then sound becomes empty. Empty sound is mantra. And when there is no grasping at form, then form becomes the deity. And then whatever you see or hear, nothing can defile your mind anymore. All obscurations are purified, and the mind has already become purified through bodhicitta. And then this is how your body, speech, and mind ripen into this flower completely. And as a result, for your own sake, first you attain this royal seat, this kingdom of the Dharmakaya state. And then for the benefit of others, you manifest some Bhogakaya and Nirmanakaya forms that appear to act for the benefit of sentient beings. So when one person attains enlightenment, actually from that, many countless of some Bhogakayas and Nirmanakayas can actually manifest from the mind of this one enlightened being. And that's a quality of Buddhahood. It is said that the Buddha is an embodiment of the three kayas. So when one attains the state of enlightenment, one manifests, one actualizes those 3 kayas. And that's the ultimate fruition of the secret mantra practice. Now, the practices of visualizing the form of the deity again and again and reciting the mantra again and again. So these are the special characteristics of the Vajrayana practice. So if you understand that, then you know that even though you might receive 100 different empowerments, they all have one and the same meaning. All of those deities are wisdom beings, and therefore their mind is a mind of bodhichitta. And this is the freedom of the mind. A mind of bodhichitta is what must ultimately be attained. So then receiving 100 empowerments becomes very beneficial if you understand the meaning. So that is the meaning of empowerment.
La mambo the drop mambo the maxi tangche kore ta ni mambo kare kore ji de tangche ayo mare ka pa pa chang me bar sim chang me bare pen ta mo ma sa ma de ja pa ko yela ta le to to mambo jong na yang ni bo le ta thab yo na ni bo le ta ni ni ngam ja ta ma che tong dun do de su tong dun do sim jin so de yu mo shok che do ga ni ni mo do ta mo ma bo nya se ni ma thab ye de le go ni de go mo che chong de tin ta che ke nga ni ma de de le be de ji yi wa tam che de sam che yang 이게 막 어떻게 하면 따로 영광을 다 때똥사 박아서 때똥 들이sem지 다다다다 칼라로 소마도 빼사도 그래 이거한테도 이라서 막 빼때도 다 삼아서 봐요 동다 찍바리 아니 사지 좀 되는데 그 동안이 som이 다 빠데 나동 되는 줄 알아요 막 냐서 이거 탑될 땅 때려 버리 제가 가까이서 담니까 말이야 타토는 제베도 뭐였대 동만 보고 맞춰서 타토들이 샘들 산쪽 샘쪽을 보지 샘들 산쪽 샘 탑을 이 소장 마선 남들을 용띠 남들을 매매 제요래 너는 샘절하고 샘띠 남들 대와다 대외 저다 대말 저지 남들 답이래 랍자도는 사실 샘쪽발에 삼고래 도보들을 알아 동자만 보고는 도보들이 설명서는 들사 가리는 샘쪽발에 산양을 들제 톱미 보여래 답되어요래 때려 사람들라 가로 지종 잠을 요래 오 니들 지종들 네 남디 시발이 이제 이발이 잡고 요래 대형들은 내값들은 트레제 저거들이 사지상지 그 송토 용어들이 트레게 차라들이 지종소 마타지 용거요래 대답이신 오 탐지 사지 로바리 성 좀 그때 제가 요 받침에 봐요 거요래 그때 이제들이 다른 거라 양 광으로 용용요래 어디로지 셀로들 왕 퍼그이 돌아서 탐지 자와 탐지 실로데 찍데디 사이 시바 탐지 소득 받치에 들 오늘 시바 죽이 많이 가까이로 말이 세우게 되지 말이 뭐 소생다 살수 되지 말이 무슨 법안냐면 제가 답지 예를 다다 예미 통제 내가 저는 작업하고 차송하는 무슨 주택 발에 대로 사람한테 라타니는 저요 이렇게 살았지 다시 지체는 돌아들 제가 좀 못하고요.
So there are many sadhanas and there are many different deities, and often people because there is just so much available, people often feel a bit overwhelmed and tired by that. And they say, like, why do we need all of these different practices? But you shouldn't feel weary about it, tired. We need to understand also why there are so many. Also many aeons in the old days, many of the Mahasiddhas have appeared, and also in North India and so on. And so at that time, not many deities were actually practiced. And so then at that time, the teachings have not yet spread in Tibet, and the lifespan of beings was very short, and was getting shorter and shorter, and the afflictive emotions of beings was getting stronger and stronger. And so in order to subdue all of these, according to the old Tantric tradition, Guru Rinpoche then hid certain teachings as dharma teachings, as treasure teachings, belonging to the old transmissions, the Nyingma school. for those days of degeneration in the future times to come. And so these are the days where when life is getting short and time is getting short, and people don't have much time anymore to read a lot of scriptures and sadhanas and so on. And also people at that time, they like sort of new things. So if a new dharma comes out, a new teaching comes out, they're interested in that. It's just like people like to eat fresh food and not something that's kind of old and stale. So it's kind of similar to that. So this is why the teachings have appeared in all these different great varieties. And yet the inner meaning is the same of all the sutras and the tantras that the Buddha had taught. There are just many different ways, methods of practicing them, and that makes the difference. But you surely shouldn't think that they are actually different things or separate, because the ultimate result is still one and the same. So there are not many meanings to it. All has the same meaning, and that ultimately is the freedom of the mind, the attaining of the precious bodhichitta. And when that is cultivated, then really all the qualities of the 3 levels of the path will arise, of individual liberation, of the bodhisattvas, and the Vajrayana path. So it's mainly the mind, and that is why it is our prayer, may all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. That's the mind of all the deities. Even if you have hundreds of deities, that is their mind. It is just like you have one big tree that has a lot of branches, and the thousands of branches of one tree belong to that same tree. They are not separate from the tree. And so in a similar way, there are many different deities who all really have the same root, actually. And if you understand that, then it doesn't matter which deity you practice, the same result will be attained. And if you understand that, you will actually want to engage in practice. You know that there is this result that is to be attained. And then when you practice in a proper way, then it is attained rather easily. So you shouldn't make much separations or divisions, thinking there's all these the deities and the dakinis, and then there's the protectors, and are they worldly beings or are they not worldly beings, and so on. So temporarily, in terms of protectors, for example, we do often make a distinction between wisdom beings and worldly beings, but sometimes they might appear in a worldly way in order to enact any of the 4 enlightened activities. Buddha has those qualities of enlightened body, enlightened speech, enlightened mind, activities, and qualities. And the protectors would belong to the enlightened activities of Buddha. And so therefore, the protectors also are really a display of the Buddhas themselves. So if you understand that, then the result will be attained quickly, and the path itself will be free of any obstacles. So then next we come to the short historical account of Mahakala, and after that I will actually confer the empowerment. And so just to summarize, the deity is a wisdom being, and it is said that within the expanse of primordial wisdom, all the Buddhas are one. So being a wisdom being, all whatever deity we practice arise from that same mind. So don't think that they are separate in any way. They have the same basis of the mind, and in fact, they are not just separate or inseparable from each other, they're even inseparable from our own mind. On the ground, even our own mind is one with those deities. For example, in the Vajrayana practice, it says, from the beginning, you and me have already been invisible. So just temporarily, we appear as these ice blocks, but actually, in terms of being water by nature, we are really one and the same. And so if you can see that, then you are so much closer to the deity, and the result will be attained much quicker. I read the history. As for the deity's essence, glorious Chakasambhara appears, teaches, and protects beings in whichever way necessary. The Mahakala Siddhi Emergence Tantra says, in order to subdue those with evil thoughts, the stages of accomplishment of wrathful Mahakala should be well explained to others. Glorious Mahakala has one face, 3 eyes, and 2 arms. His color is black, and his reddish-black hair streams upwards. In his right hand, he brandishes a keen butcher's knife resembling Yama's tongue, and in his left hand, he holds a skull cup filled with blood. By meditating on him, reciting his mantra, offering and praising him, supreme and ordinary siddhis will be attained. In his Tantra, it is written, he turns back evil aggressors who stand against the teachings of the unsurpassable 3 jewels. He upholds, guards, and protects the teachings of supreme accomplishment. In the last 500 years of the degenerate age, one should engage in this practice secretly in solitude. Nowadays, at the end of the 500-year era, he dispels obstacles and grants swift accomplishments. Thus, the practice of Mahakala, the single chief figure of the Mandala, is extremely profound and the heart essence of all mother tantras of the highest Yoga Tantra. Having received his empowerment, it is said that this Dhamma protector will stay as close to you as your own shadow. Performing a New Year's puja or a Dharma offering on certain occasions is auspicious and will obliterate all harmful humans and non-humans. Unlike the counterfeit show of the great powers of mundane gods, at the time of death, Mahakala can actually dispel all obstacles on the path and send you to the state of the great Buddha Vajradhara.
Om Beda Sado Samaya Mana Balaya Beda Sado De Noba Seitan Dendro Meba Soda Kayo Meba Vasa Bejayo Meba Anara To Meba Va Sarva Sete Meba Yeta Sarva Kan Sata Me Titam Chiyam Guru Hong Ha 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 ho banga vi sawada ta gata beda ma me mata beda ma samaya sa do om sawada ta gata be khikati samaya jere o wa be ne ta da wa be ma so ba wa ju da so wa do ma so ba wa ju da wa dong be ngang Om se or bo je no yang je ja che wa nan de om wa hong shuo le so to ma tang je to ba me ba da me de wa je je to ba na kwa san ya ba jo ma ka ro mo to a de ya de be na de do ma hong be so ma ka ro mo ka to do ma na a de ni be na de do ma hong be so ma ka ro mo ka to a de ni be na de do ma hong be so wa to de de ji ba ri ji ma la sam ta ro de ji ba zo di ta ba la to da Deity 관점을 나타내서 Deity 관점과 탑재를 오늘 들어라. 삼사에도 강의 뭐 좋아요. 뭐나 저다서 뭐 저기 상황에서 이제 나만서 조직에 봐서내다 제다들로 도망가서 왔잖아. 근데 이제 뭐 저거 내가 그들을 집에서 마셔와서 세미나 비벼선 다른 세계에 뭐지 지지들의 추구적 절제 야다 돈을 잡아도 누구 그러지 봐봐. Gilhong Gibjin Te Ang Chang Yang Te Yama Yakayang So So La Konja The Rangal La Piero Jila De Bama Je Jom Chemo Chung Kata Ba Rinang Ma Ne Jime Ete To Soldur Do Jo Rangal Le So So Ba Ba Ta Sa Ta Na Ke Sa Me Om Sambara Sambara Hong Jana Jana Hong Jana Ba Jana Ba Ha Na Ho Ba Bayara Daya Rodawa Rangoli was the Koga and Kitchen Rani just saw him water and Barchin Tropa. So the church of ours was not the they allowed the war time chair, those hydrologists from sometimes dodging light, writing what the Zaga Pasan, diet of Sir Dodgy Rat, she did me about something about the budget, and my year was on was all medal and Beda, Benda, Beda, Pinza, Tucker, Bitala, Bitala. It's hard to return some town, but there's a lot of home. There is no cause I am besame, there's no kind dancing, there is certainly concept 17 of the Salon Jutin Nampul, simply charming what I took the Dagger Rose only, was also number is Nampaka Sanjela, this has gone a dad's on your number. This is the GP Sajuk 7 boy talk songs on 3 mirror dinner Sabat in the mirror. The Atom Casa.
The root of suffering of all sentient beings, limitless as space, is self-grasping. And so now bring to mind all of that self-grasping of all the sentient beings in the 3 realms of samsara, and offer it all up along with the outer universe, all those beings and everything that you own. So all of that bring to mind and think that I'm offering it up to the 3 jewels, to the Buddhas abiding in a space before me, and think that in return they grant us their altruism, their bodhichitta. So thinking in this way, please offer a mandala, and we will recite the mandala in our yellow prayer book. This one actually is especially clear.
Page 7. An infinite array of worlds, each with 4 continents and the wealth of infinite oceans of realms. If I bring them all to mind and offer them without exception, please hold with compassion all beings they contain. My body, enjoyments, and whatever I own, my aggregates, elements, and sense sources, my aspirations now and in times to come, as well as everything I grasp as mine. By offering them all, may I be blessed with the end of self-grasping. Completely liberated from the bounds of real and unreal, transcending the names and concepts of arising, cessation, abiding, coming and going, affirmation and denial. The supreme mandala is the natural state. By offering it, may I be blessed to attain the state of Buddhahood. Om Guru Deva Dakini Ratna Mandala Pratisaso.
일단 남카강 산지라 들이 생진 삼체가 다 왕고로 소왔다 그요 드니 소와디바데 지리케고레.
And so then next we have to supplicate the Buddhas who abide in the space before us to confer empowerment upon all sentient beings. And this is the supplications that we need to repeat.
Garchen, Yi Pongbo-jing, Sipe, Kolo, Namjongwa, Attaining, Xiebe, Rinpoche, Zowu, Mandala, Garchen.
English. Embodiment of omniscient wisdom, principal deity, through your kindness, please grant me the precious treasure you are setting forth today that utterly purifies the wheel of existence. So next we need to repeat 5 branches, and that is them taking refuge in the 3 jewels and confessing negativities in the presence of the deities who abide in space.
Guincho, Sumla, Bajichi, Degba, Mege, So Sha, Rove, Gela, Ji Rang, Sangje, Changche, Yi Zong, Sangje, Chu Zang, Cho Cho La, Chang Che, Part, Da Jiang Qi, Rang Jin, Dong Yi, Rab Zheng Ser, Chang Che, Sem Ne, Ji Bar Jie, Chang Che, Cho Ke, Sem Ne, Ji Ji Ne, Sem Jie, Tam Jie, Da Ge, Rong De Nier, Chang Che, Zhong Cho, Yi Ong, Jie Bar Ji, Ro La, Ping Se, Sang Jie, Rab Bar Cho.
I take refuge in the 3 jewels and confess all evil and unvirtuous deeds. I rejoice in the virtues of beings and hold the Buddha's awakening in mind until attaining awakening. I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly in order to fully accomplish the purpose of others and myself. I give rise to bodhichitta, having given rise to the mind of supreme awakening. I welcome all sentient beings. I will practice the supreme bodhisattva conduct that is pleasing to all. May I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. So this is really the meaning of the empowerment. It begins, actually everything has been mentioned in here, and it begins with taking refuge until one attains enlightenment. So here we purify self-grasping and we cultivate altruism. So that's really the meaning of what we just said, and that's really the meaning of all empowerments, no matter how many empowerments you receive. So whatever empowerment you receive, that's really the meaning.
심지 탐지 나는 노는 예지 또다 소소랑 그 강아 제와요버 조조나 대 낭기 심지 탐지를 제와요지 대루리 대 심지 탐지를 제와 참다 나 피도 가는 제면서 생기도 랑 낭만 이제 초와지나 들리고니 산촉선 당고 초고요래 대 초와대 하고는 야고요래지.
So these words here, I welcome all sentient beings. Now, you bring to mind anyone, your companion, someone whom you love very much, and then think that just like I love that person, I love all other sentient beings. So in this way, you pervade your love towards all sentient beings, and even if you can't help them directly, this feeling arises that is like you feel close to them, like they are family. And this is how bodhichitta begins to arise. So this is the kind of feeling you want to cultivate. Master, please heed me. Please bestow upon me the empowerment of body, speech, and mind of the Bhagavan, the glorious great Black One.
Doji, Zemba, Gong Se Sor, Dane, Rola, Pei Dong Ze, Zhou Qin, Chu La, Son Zep Ji, Cha Jie, Yi Xi, Ji De So.
Vajra holder, please heed me. For the benefit of beings, I supplicate you, who possess great kindness, please cause the mudra of wisdom to arise.
Oh, that's something simply something painful. Some, this summer, that's the thing. Nga sela tini nyama jampo chongchong to sam tiri hong na bo la hong ji do ko hong na bo gon tiri u ka da ka kang tiri chaje tamche sa chawa ba ba na ji da simjin tamche ni tamche tamsong da te ji bo gon te ji go ba ko ba de la ko na zong na zum hong ji bo gon da ji na ba jin se de la ko da sang ji bo de ko ba de da ni lang sang ma zum 들들 하람자 살고를 양도한테 락사지 대로 건데 뭐도 받쳐야 되죠. 말에 때 양도 들때 가리서지 못잖아. 들 사사고 샷하고 이래야지.
So now everyone should cultivate this wish to benefit all sentient beings, and then think that in this moment this thought arises at your heart. There appears a small sun disk, on top of which appears a black hong, and think that its radiance fills up the sky, and the blessings of all the Buddhas are drawn in and fall down like rain falling down, and think that these blessings then permeate the entire universe and all sentient beings. So just visualize that, and hold this picture that you have received in your hands. Close your eyes and just meditate on that Hong syllable. And at some point I will ask you to open your eyes, and at that time, instantly as you open your eyes, look at this image. And then again you can repeat that, closing your eyes and having this image appear in your mind. And so in this way, as you keep looking at the image and closing your eyes, it is like you're taking a picture with a camera. And it becomes increasingly clear. And so eventually, as you habituate, then the deity will actually appear in your mind. So now open your eyes, look at the image, and then repeat this again and again. And on an ongoing basis, you can just keep in mind the syllable Hong. So it is fine as long as you don't forget about the Hong syllable.
fly bit of the time, baby, you walk about don't tell you what to one good dodgy Timon, I can't buy his house if you're such a good son to the nearly so much about the almonds of the dog and I'll be kicked this on my Jerry almost over the dog and I'll be kicked this on my Jerry almost over the dog and I'll be kicked this on my Jerry almost over the dog and I'll be kicked it. So my Jerry almost over the dog and I'll be kicked this on my Jerry almost over the dog and I'll be kicked. Somewhere double jarring or what you want. Loma Papa, some minutes and boy, some dozen dumbbells over, but also one hour, see your own like this, and your motor, Mama, had you been my Javan, the Jingle, and the Jingle. Touch it on board, touch your persons over under the show. That are Jesus now, Ludigo, supper, Trama, Pachat, the Dita Kibata. Go, Jesus now, Maliba, top, like Jerem, Saturn, Joker, Gomala, one, they were Chocotoba, Kabaki in the Sepa, you know.
Being thus initiated, karmic imprints and defilements accumulated with the body, and all grasping at them are purified. You have received a complete form empowerment. You are now empowered to practice the stages of development of visualizing your body as the deity, the union of appearance and emptiness. As a result, you will have the fortune to accomplish the Nirmanakaya.
Sunguji Zagan to the Sovada Bande, Doji, Zamba, Gonso, Sor, Lade, Rola, Pendonta, Maji, Wangor, Yi Shi Che, Mudra.
Vajra holder, please heed me for the benefit of beings. Please grant me the great wisdom of the mantra empowerment, which is the source of all accomplishments.
Roboda, Chirana, Laza, Roboja, the Jabas, Mamichel, Imchi, the countries of the Javasun. Shiranam Jashad, the Jole, Sokor Kam, Drews, all the Javas of the Chola, Chijabas, to Bada Jibe, Mande Gidu, Dandi, Mbalatani, Nakasa Chili, the Major, Jasuna, Chapapata, Triterang, Madi, Gizi Chebata, Yantiran, Madi Bana, the Hongatara, O Mahakala, Hong Pai Sohazi, Hongatari, Osa, Trite, Tanyani, the Tama Corte, Gomiari, the Hajakacho song, Trita Pay, La Corte, La Corte Pinguia, just in your Hakumus Yapa, the Congolese.
So for the visualization of during the mantra transmission, you think that from the deities in space, mantra syllables like in rainbow colors descend down and fall down like rainbows. And then as you repeat the mantra, think that you have received a mantra garland of Mahakala, which then begins to circle around the Hung syllable at your heart. So it is Mahakala, Hung Hung, Pet Pet Soha, circling around your heart. And actually, in general, during our practice, it is taught that the visualization of that mantra string, that mantra garland around the seed syllable is very significant, very important. And actually, an example of that is the prayer wheel. Actually, the prayer wheel contains all of the benefits of mantra, and it's just like a physical, like a representation of mantra, of the mantra garland.
Om Mahakala, Ho Hong, Pei Pei, Soha, Om Mahakala, Ho Hong, Pei Pei, Soha, Om Mahakala, Ho Hong, Pei Pei, Soha, Jondi, Dagi, Zong La Ji, Da La, Nye War, Ze Do So, Zong De Da La Ja, Da La Go War De So, Ha Ji Go Zhou Da Ne Jia, Zhe Zhou Ge Ban Ze De, Le Do Ban Ze De So, O Su Tra Ti Sha Fe Ze, So Ha. Teta Gisa Navi, Agagoni, Sabatama, Pachate, Disa Kivata, so good Jesus Maliba Top, Lai, Sangha Tratong, some Dukrava, one, they were longer to Kapaki the Seva.
Being thus initiated, karmic imprints and defilements accumulated with the speech and all grasping at them are purified. You have received the complete speech empowerment. You are now empowered to recite the deity's secret mantra, the union of sound and emptiness. As a result, you will have the fortune to accomplish the Sambhogakaya.
네, 와서 매처럼 매워 됐어나 가져라다 주바 치사바 제거는 저기로 늘는 저기가 다시니 바오다 옆에서 또 벌써 될 쇼서 제가 지선나에 나가 고니 사포트마가 롭차서 어이야 단지 하자 자지 못하다 나고랑고 평소죠 저somebody 나그 도티는 소리 사진이 주주면체스 나 사실과도 사상매 봐주요래 이사티게 신고만을 손들이 사진 사야 동설만 벌었더니 조합을 빼는 라고는 말 사야지요래 제가 사진 초선 남상 사진이 주주면체스 실제 답변은 이제는다 사태로 세아 동설만 뭐 마장가서로 패배 실제 답변을 같이 타고요래 신종 좀 주면체스 들리랑가 들리랑아에서 제주 셈마이고 제주는 텔레티니 생구도 봤다 그 요래 라 세노사 산능라 데베 들리디 룽아 이소기와 루글랑코 마가들 도요래 셈마이고 들리디 룽아 이소기와 때도다 달랑 우드 좀 제데 들라디 들리 셈드 돌로르데라고 당 콜로는 한거리 세고 다디는 뭐 sem마도 맞죠 다 도고요래 대외들이 사진이 주면체 선지도 좀 주면체 달랑도 주면체 해서 뜻이 당하고 그 필요 삼지 잡아 라고 그 필요 되는 소거래
So the benefits of the mantra garland are really actually inconceivable. It is explained in the tantras that there are three continuations that are accomplished, and so what that is that now through the mantra garland becomes a continuous offering to, like an unceasing offering to all the Buddhas or all the deities that you have visualized. So, for example, if you have a prayer wheel that is filled with, say, 1,000,000 mantras, and you just give rise to this thought of, I want to make an offering to all the Buddhas, then instantly that is accomplished through this turning mantra wheel or the mantra garland. So the offering made to the Buddhas are continuous or unceasing. Secondly, what is also accomplished is the unceasing, the continuous purification of obscurations of sentient beings. And that happens through great compassion for sentient beings. So, for example, you spin your prayer wheel and you cultivate compassion for sentient beings. In that moment, again, millions of deities emerge outward and they go to help sentient beings. And they help them continuously. And then the third thing accomplished is that the mantra garland also accomplishes the unceasing attainment of siddhis for oneself. And that is because, for instance, you spin a prayer wheel, then the mind is undistracted and single-pointed. And in that way, your own obscurations become purified. So when you visualize the deity and it stays clear in your mind, or you spin a prayer wheel, actually spinning a prayer wheel accomplishes the virtue of body, speech, and mind. So physically you're spinning it, and with your speech, the mantras contained are related to speech, and with the mind you are not distracted. And this is how, through the mantra, you will attain siddhis unceasingly. The mantra wheel, or the prayer wheel, also acts in a similar way as a washing machine. So we are washing our mind over and over again in this way as it spins. And so what becomes purified is our self-grasping and all of our clinging to the true existence of appearances and so on. All of our concept labels in the mind. So these are the three continuous attainments of the mantra. So an unceasing offering to the Buddhas, an unceasing purification of obscurations of sentient beings, and an unceasing attainment of siddhis for oneself. So the benefits of the mantra garland are truly inconceivable, and the prayer wheel then possesses the same benefits.
통제지상가 도도 소아다바데 제도 도제 잠바 공서서 다네 롤라 펜도타 바오 도제 로pun지 로조 등지 记得说，我老婆她说她红了，我去自己来，她婆自己来，那是把不把的就把她就拉着的话，那是上去就的把说，差不多的说了，我们那们他说完了，准备说明另外一次的啦，把那我就不过弄到也没得就没他就等着了，就嘛讲做些，人今天的透过我那儿去呀，这肉人那红着油，这到处拍上肉，这么这红的，当然的这个红的他们说啥，这光从家过有的，这光家过的，哦，透过往的。 来，头现在让个现在人有的，真的是哪看着我，这的那个这把着我这有的，这里的是说我的这把没有生，让个生哪看到人痛了，这是拉头的头到你是没法掐的，这光从家小子。
So we come to the mind empowerment, and to represent that, also you will receive a little pill. And you should think that within this pill is a Hung syllable, and it is brilliant like a diamond. And after you eat that pill, think that it dissolves into the Hung at your heart. And so at this point, for the mind empowerment, we should meditate for a little while. And now, that is, during this meditation, you recognize that your own mind and the deity's mind actually are indivisible. Mind is like space, and it is obscured by the clouds of conceptual thought. But when the mind becomes clear, then all those clouds disappear, and if you then see the nature of the mind, you see the true nature of your mind, that is when you merge non-dually with the deity. So here we will meditate for a short while.
Gidida bachudi de barashi so hata badala ma yechumene toda jorong oda chita parije de de ge barashi so ba de yo so so de de cho de da jusan name yiji kone sa ba tama ba chate de de ba ta toji jisan na ma ri ba top sem lai tojiram ji sa to so yogar ba go ba lawan je chuko to ba ka ba ti de se ba yo no so atri ta da la me so ya pe 네 바닥 팩을 같이 어서래 만성지 차상을 이 팩을 터져서 다니 왕셔든 미소야지 네 홍대공 세만원만.
So now we take a break. Also, it seems that some people will have to leave. But anyways, the rest can use the restroom. And then we continue with the empowerment. And in the meantime, remember to meditate on the Hung syllable without distraction.
O Mahakala Hong Hong Pei Pei Sowa. O Mahakala Hong Hong Pei Pei Sowa. O Mahakala Hong Pei Pei Sowa. O Mahakala Hong Hong Pei Pei Sowa. O Mahakala Hong Hong Pei Pei Sowa. Hong Hong Pei Pei Sowa. Oi Mahakala 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 Hong Pei Pei Sowa. Oi Mahakala Hong Hong Pei Pei Sowa. 这里在那头就往这些平庸就差呗，就这么然后啊，这里在那头就往这把这里往他们这的该往咱们这有的，送个往汉咱们这边往过有的，长没把的，他头就往西把这到你这里从他们那把的都够有的。他头就往干，这里他妈就把掐住有的，这种快点啊，看没把啥些事情呢，看没把掐我，这看我真是红了都有的，这人做人他这种怎么就看了，做人他都红了都有的，这个做这个二上都有的，红的了，用这个红了啥掐有的。多差一把啥家红个炸的，那知道红油呢？他们也上海人的什么红光在边上，红的蓝米就看到红的嘛嘞，红的弄的蓝米掉下来个哩，红的套上去的哩，这个拿到他们就到头有嘞，到出来的生意现在搞的心情不准备，这个红的边的把钱包来的。实际他们就讲那他从红了都有的，这些2年前嘛，他们这个红的是有的，讲嘞红的有点，这里破案了，这讲嘞就是啥，他当所说的红的，这差不多，讲嘞2年前了，也红的啥子么吧，红的就那么多激动的不生，多啊，少下个少动手就让你的唱到。这头儿的红的大起不来是，这老花个东西呢，有的这可当就金属根本什么根本这种我的，那这样呢，就金属那么出个了工那红工的都，那么弄个了工的也当的啥工的，那么这个了工的，真的他让个那么这里。这把气息，这样气息，这个工作来说，这是我们这上他们的这种说，我他这他那个那是normal都上那个这红的里扎进不来，这里这里搞的他把这新朋友这里早嘛，老人那么多的红的到处的，当上是多的，那么多的，那么多我们不起码嘛这里大家往个当成的多的，他当成起码的，同当个当成那多为不生的，同当个当成的，广东当成的，但是那多了他，大人你这边，大人你这个你不能新品的落的，你这咋去么的？你这那是大人你没有瞧了，这同当大人你没有搞的，这同当红的多么的，当年你这送就送，等于现在不是呢。杀东松族， 생라이 톡들랑 지사 동수 조그라고 바로 방송 들리더라 왕 자신아 담책 잡아 담책 저거데 네 고정노들이 이빙을 로데 사바체미 들리서 담을 쳐들이 홍다지 예미 라미 차대열에 홍수 아치 뭔데这홍수 빠져 담탐제 들이 퍼번나 송노래 들이 너무 알롱도 잡는들이 deities sawa Hong dikleri karasına danzi mi beram ni çokor çakıyor son den son de Hong Kong yok için böyle da tas tamçık toğre 왕리를 tamçık 요래 되는 tamçık 다지 잡아 tamçık 쭉 봐도 요 말이 동담을 10만원 봐 그쪽들이 이피를 놓다 말다가 돈이 이제 송교 다소 담대 대래 라탐들도 담대 찍도 고요래 들다단지 일 담직해 랑차디 저것들이 라리랭이 남들 사람 정신들이 끼어치란 망보라 사마제죠 벌써 사람들 땅 제시에 그렇게 사지들이 고송는 정도로 톡톡돼 순죽이 침보래 들다다 이 왕수들이 앞에 가시면 뵙고래 그래서 담직 하고는 들다다 담직해 링요래
Then we come to the mind empowerment, and it says, so we have received the mind empowerment, and it says, being thus initiated, karmic imprints and defilements accumulated with the mind, and all grasping at them are purified. You have received the complete mind empowerment. You are now empowered to meditate on the nature of the deity's mind, the union of clarity and emptiness. As a result, you will have the fortune to accomplish the Dharmakaya. So there's all sorts of empowerments where we visualize all sorts of different forms. And there is many different mantras. There's really a countless number of them. But ultimately, it all actually comes down in the end to the mind empowerment. And that is the Hung syllable represents that. Everything is subsumed within the syllable Hung, which represents also this nature, this empty nature of the ultimate truth. And ultimately, even though there is such a great variety of limitless mantras and deities and so on, they all are one and the same. Samsara and Nirvana are not separate. And that is shown by everything dissolving into the Hung syllable. That is the essence of all the completion stage. So whatever of the four major lineages one practices, in the end, for any practice in the completion, it all gathers into the syllable Hung. In Dzogchen, for example, one is introduced to the syllable A, which is the self-arisen syllable representing emptiness. And Hung is more this aspect of clarity, but also the aspect of emptiness. And so when one says the syllable Hung, so actually somebody who really knows how to practice the secret mantra recognizes that when we say the syllable Hung, it is not just something that comes out of our mouth, like it's just a word that we say, but actually the sound of the syllable Hung actually comes from within the navel. There's a feeling that arises naturally in the navel when you say this syllable. And it is just like a lightning strike that has the power to destroy all thinking. And what then remains is just your natural state of Buddha nature. So the Hung is very powerful, and ultimate everything gathers into the Hung. And those of you who are also familiar with the Yamantaka practice, you know about this practice with the Hung, the qualities of the Hung. And also it occurs in the Vajrakilaya practice and so on. So also the other day we mentioned it. The Hung is really very precious, no matter what practice you engage in. And the effect of the hung is that it renders your mind with thought-free. And there is this thought-free state of mind that clearly knows its empty nature. The mind is completely empty, but there is awareness of that. And that is this natural state of clarity and emptiness. So that is why the hung is so precious. And also yesterday, Drupal Rinpoche, he offered a couple of volumes of Lord Jigten Sumgön's secret collection of teachings. And in there, actually, it says that when you practice the Guru, it says that when you practice the Dharmakaya of the Guru, it is the syllable Hung. You're practicing Hung. When you practice the Sambhogakaya of the Guru, then you're practicing the Yidam Deity. And now when you're practicing the Nirmanakaya of the Guru, then you should cultivate, bring to mind the Guru that you have the greatest devotion to, the Guru that gives you teachings and so on. Then you meditate on that Guru. So this is a teaching by Jigten Sumgön from his secret collection of teachings. And so because that corresponds to what I'm just saying, it is not mistaken. So the Hung is truly very, very precious. Through the Hung, we can really come to the natural state of the mind that is originally pure. It has the power to shatter all conceptual thinking and leave the mind as it is in its natural empty state. And that actually brings us to the Samaya. That is the ultimate Samaya, actually. When there is no grasping at anything in your mind, then that actually fulfills the ultimate Samaya. So the Samaya on the ultimate level is to sustain a mind without grasping at any thoughts. And on the relative level, the Samaya is that on that level, thoughts still do arise, and we still do have a dualistic perception of self and other. And on that level of the relative, we therefore apply the antidote of altruism. Here, compassion is most important. When compassion arises, then these dualistic thoughts of self and other will just naturally diminish. And again, we come back to the Hung. It all gathers into the Hung. So it therefore represents this innate unity of emptiness and compassion, or clarity and emptiness. And that is really the mind of the deity, which is the nature of your own mind. That's the root Samaya of even 100 different empowerments that you might receive. The root Samaya on the relative level is to cultivate altruism, a mind of immeasurable love. And on the ultimate level, it all actually is included within the syllable Hung, which represents the realization that self and other are non-dual, are indivisible. So that is the actual root Samaya, and that is also why we have printed the Hung on cards and so on. Also, it is explained in the Vajrakilaya practice, also in the context of the Tsog, when we, at the end of the practice, again arise as the deity. Then later on, sustaining this awareness of the deity, when you're eating food and so on, everything becomes a feast offering. So it's very important, therefore, to always remember the Hung syllable. That's really the Samaya on the level of the mind. So in general, each empowerment has its own Samaya, and yet they all share a common root Samaya, which is not different. And on the ultimate level, that is to sustain a mind of non-distraction. And on the relative level, it is to not separate from an altruistic mind. So actually, the ultimate Samaya really is this union of emptiness and compassion. And there is not a single deity who wouldn't have that Samaya, no matter what deity you practice, even if you just practice a single sadhana. So even though now in the text, in each empowerment text, there is a certain line of commitment where we do say that I am going to keep this deity as my yidam until I attain enlightenment. I will not forsake this yidam deity. It does say that, but also a deity has an aspect of body, speech, and mind, of which the mind is most important. We need to consider the mind nature of the deity as most important when it comes to not forsaking the deity. So that is the Samaya. After receiving that, then I will confer the empowerment, and then you're free to leave. Some people might need to leave early. So it's important that you do understand the nature of the Samaya before you take the commitment.
아무리 심진 탐식의 유를 감들이랑 때는 팔다 탐식 롱도 오요래 홍도 롱나 뛰는 파우나더니 팔다 탐식을 롱이 홍홍홍도 오 짜차마 홍홍홍도도 그러니까 대발라 홍장장 다지 들상하게 양들이 좋아요 이렇게 오 사람이 내도 없어는 들이 인발이 시바상 거더니 자요도 것들이 홍지랑 짜서도 홍거 강리 미리 샘들 록샘일 뛰는 파우나더니 홍지 돈이 그랑기 양차요래 남지 홍지 다홍 라이소레지 하고는 홍지를 대바던도 봐 강두지 대바지 응어래 이제 롱을 내대요 레버가 홍지를 홍지거든요 홍주부까지 깨찍 받을 깨찍 정상제 생걸 남도면 그 생나가다고 싹도 깨찍 차지는 문에 사제 살딱다 했고요래 자발 친구가 나나 깨찍 정상제도 sempre 이제 남가도 이제 딱 봐야면 정대에서 밀리니 말람선 통과 빼졌다 그래 너도 그런 거들이 홍지를 대다가 상하더니 이람 되고 홍래 되는 밤나 양 고라워요 이제 소리나면 내려 오라는 이거 좀 말해야지 하고요 데이티니 되는 것도 다음 책 켈리니.
And then there's one more important point to be explained about the syllable Hong, and that is on the basis, the path and the result. The basis, path, and result are Hong. Hong abides at the basis, and what that means is that now, first of all, within all beings, Hong pervades us on a relative level as the winds, the energy is pervading us. So, for example, the veins in your body, all these subtle channels in your body, are pulsating, are vibrating, and this pulsation of your heart, of your body, actually is the Hong pulsating, vibrating. So we understand Hong to be these subtle winds moving through our body and causing this pulsating sensation throughout our body that is felt through the veins of our body. So when you recognize that and when you pay attention to your body, you feel that actually you feel the pulse going through your body. All of that is actually Hong, 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 pulsating through your body. It's all Hong. And then also, when you recite a mantra, it is actually is subsumed. All mantra is subsumed within the Hong. So it is wind energy of Hong that we recite in a secret mantra. So you recognize how the Hong naturally actually is naturally present. You acknowledge the natural presence of the syllable Hong, of Hong, the sound of Hong. So you recognize what is actually there. For example, when you feel the pulse going through your body, through your veins, it's all filled with Hong. So you recognize that mind and wind are the syllable Hong, and the nature of that is emptiness. So that is the basis. The empty nature of mind of all sentient beings. Then the path Hong is the life force of the deity. And here on the path you cultivate trust in the deity, the three kinds of faith. you recognize that this is actually your natural state. You recognize the nature of the deity through your practice. And so you recognize the life force of the deity. And then the resultant Hong is that when you exclaim Hong, then that has the power to shatter all conceptual thinking. In an instant, you see the Buddha. That is the space-like nature that is clear and empty. So in that moment, you directly see the Buddha. There is this quote in the Manjushri Namasamgiti text expressing the names of Manjushri, where it says that in an instant, momentarily, you are a Buddha. And so that is because the basic nature of your mind is pure, like space. And it becomes temporarily obscured by thoughts and afflictions. And if they're instantaneously cleared away, just like the clouds in the sky, you see the sun. Even if just for a moment, you glimpse the nature of the mind. So in that moment, you are a Buddha. So that is the result Hong. So on the basis, it already is your true nature. And so you practice in order to just recognize what is actually already there. And so in any case, we next come to the commitment of the Samaya. How many people of you are practitioners of Yamantaka? Could you raise your hand, please?
Oh, the 시제게 마크로는 송요래 밑에 속도 제거는 심지 남지리 니레시 다진지요래 벤니 대송도 제 니티 이게 홍을 전했더니 심지 남지 홍을 전했더니 송코는 쪽로요래 밑에 홍고는 라진이 송코는 쪽로요래 홍들 다진이 또 남게 막 남의 쪽로요래 때 시지 마코는 대송을 때 이제 남이 제일 하고 그래. 근데 홍고 비용 때다 홍고들은 라마게 신이 탐색에 송거다가 양 주로요래. 대 다시 보요래.
So if you're practicing Yamantaka, you're familiar with that. Now we speak about this protective sphere in Yamantaka. And now when there's these individual sentient beings that we want to protect. And so first, for as long as we perceive a duality of self and other, the consciousness of those beings is the syllable represented by the syllable ni. And then to protect them, this ni transforms into the Hong. So basically all sentient beings become Hong. And this is how they enter the protective sphere. Actually, this is how they enter it naturally. Because the Hung represents this non-dual nature, where self and other are non-dual. So they enter into the sphere of the ultimate truth and thereby are protected. So those of you who are familiar with the Yamantaka practice, you know about that. So these are the benefits of the Hung, and the various spiritual teachers, the lamas, when they teach about the protective spheres, this is really what it comes down to. And that's why it is so precious. The Hung is so precious.
So na yukbe sanjie tang changchel senpa tamje dala gongse sor da tu tele zongte jesi sanchep ningbo la chi je barde bar na bo chenbo 추종 송말 송경 대여 송하 니레게的这里是나와지오지等于 25ye나요. 그래도 조지처럼 공처에 그 습기 탑재를 사직은 처리를 같이 해요래. 조포상 보고 저도 대대적인 아들이 잡고 요래 배나 다 당선 못 보고 상황 소다서 하는 야야래. 대신은 무슨 샤르지 발가로에 숨바에서 라마 피바토토다는 망을 송을 소속하는 야여름 소속하는 호공주소로 호비시미 마그로도 만들이 콘드는 옆에 가당들이 내가 마그로도 만들이 대로는 대중소원들이 참참 자희장들이 하자도 아침벌이 내게 무슨 자들도 송바래 이제 좀 하냐는 이제 그래서 나가지라 Deity 사대들이 거서 Deity 왕거감이 그래서 뭐나 어제 그 로요들이 뭐나 참들 로요 왕 맞잘 받대 뭐나 로요 왕션 페퍼지.
And so then, even though he is a wisdom being, he appears as in the form of support, like a supporting companion to sentient beings. And so he appears as the aspect of the Buddha's enlightened activities to benefit sentient beings. And he's like a good friend, a good companion in this and future lives who will grant protection. And so that actually this section of the Mahakala practice is contained in the secret supplication during the drink offering that we always recite in the Dharma and dedication. That begins with a Ho Gong Su Solo, or Ho, please heed me. And so based on this, in this way, actually, he appeared. He appeared directly in this form up here. And so sometimes he might appear like that. And so sometimes it might be good to also make a drink offering if he can, do this practice and make a drink offering. And so then we receive the actual empowerment. And during the empowerment, while you come up to receive the empowerment, we will also read the Samantha Bhadra prayer as a dedication. And so we continue to recite the prayer until everyone has received the empowerment.
And that prayer.
Then please come up to receive the empowerment in lines.
And that prayer is in the blue prayer book on page 40. Oh, everything, appearance and existence, samsara has a single ground, yet two paths and two fruitions, and magically displays as awareness or unawareness. Through Kuntuzampo's prayer, may all beings become Buddhas, completely perfected in the abode of the Dharmadhatu. The ground of all is uncompounded, and the self-arising great expanse beyond expression has neither the name samsara nor nirvana. Realizing just this, you are a Buddha. Not realizing this, you are a being wandering in samsara. I pray that all you beings of the three realms may realize the true meaning of the inexpressible ground. I, Kuntuzampo, have realized the truth of this ground, free from cause and condition, which is just this self-arising awareness. It is unstained by outer expression and inner thought, affirmation or denial, and is by the of unmindfulness. Thus, this self-manifesting display is free from defects. I, Kuntuzampo, abide as intrinsic awareness. Even though the three realms were to be destroyed, there is no fear. There is no attachment to the five desirable qualities of sense objects. In the self-arising consciousness free of thought, there is neither solid form nor the five poisons. In the unceasing clarity of awareness, singular in essence, there yet arises the display of the five wisdoms. From the ripening of these five wisdoms, the five original Buddha families emerge, and through the expanse of their their wisdom, the 42 peaceful Buddhas appear. Through the arising power of the 5 wisdoms, the 60 wrathful Herukas manifest. Thus, the ground awareness is never mistaken or wrong. I, Kuntuzampo, am the original Buddha of all. And through this prayer of mine, may all you beings who wander in the 3 realms of samsara realize this self-arising awareness, and may your great wisdom spontaneously increase. My emanations will continuously manifest in billions of unimaginable ways, appearing in forms to help you beings who can be trained. Through my compassionate prayer, may all you beings who wander in the 3 realms of samsara escape the 6 life forms. From the beginning, you beings are deluded because you do not recognize the awareness of the ground. Being thus unmindful of what occurs is delusion, the very state of unawareness and the cause of going astray. From this delusive state comes a sudden fainting away, and then a subtle consciousness of wavering fear. From that wavering, there arises a separation of self and the perception of others as enemies. Gradually, the tendency of separation strengthens, and from this, the circle of samsara begins. Then the emotion of the 5 poisons develop. The actions of these emotions are endless. You beings lack awareness because you are unmindful, and this is the basis of your going astray. Through my prayer, may all you beings recognize your intrinsic awareness. Innate awareness means unmindfulness and distraction. Imputing unawareness means dualistic thoughts toward self and others. Both kinds of unawareness are the basis for the delusion of all beings. Through Kuntuzampo's prayer, may all you beings wandering in samsara clear away the dark fog of unmindfulness, clear away clinging thoughts of duality. May you recognize your own intrinsic awareness. Dualistic thoughts create doubt. From subtle attachment to this dualistic turn of mind, dualistic tendencies become stronger and thicker. Food, wealth, clothes, home, and friends, the 5 objects of the senses, and your beloved family, all these things cause torment by creating longing and desire. These are all worldly delusions. The activities of grasping and clinging are endless. When the fruition of attachment ripens, you are born as a hungry ghost, tormented by coveting and desiring, miserable, starving, and thirsty. Through Kuntuzampo's prayer, may all you desirous and lustful beings who have attachments neither reject longing desires nor accept attachment to desires. Let your consciousness relax in its own natural state. Then your awareness will be able to hold its own. May you achieve the wisdom of perfect discernment. When external objects appear, the subtle consciousness of fear will arise. From this fear, the habit of anger becomes stronger and stronger. And finally, hostility comes, causing violence and murder. When the fruition of this anger ripens, you will suffer in hell by boiling and burning. Through Kuntuzampo's prayer, you beings of the 6 realms, when strong anger arises for you, neither reject nor accept it. Instead, relax in the natural state and achieve the wisdom of clarity. When your mind becomes full of pride, there will arise thoughts of competition and humiliation. As this pride becomes stronger and stronger, you will experience the suffering of quarrels and abuse. When the fruition of this karma ripens, you will be born in the God realm and experience the suffering of change and falling to lower rebirths. Through Kuntuzampo's prayer, may you beings who develop pride, let your consciousness relax in the natural state. Then your awareness will be able to hold its own. May you achieve the wisdom of equanimity. By increasing the habit of duality, by praising yourself and denigrating others, your competitive mind will lead you to jealousy and fighting, and you will be born in the jealous God realm where there is much killing and injury. From the result of that killing, you will fall into the hell realm. Through Kunta Zampo's prayer, when jealousy and competitive thoughts arise, do not grasp them as enemies. Just relax and ease, and then consciousness can hold its own natural state. May you achieve the wisdom of unobstructed action. By being distracted, careless, and unmindful, you beings will become dull, foggy, and forgetful. By being unconscious and lazy, you will increase your ignorance, and the fruition of this ignorance will be to wander helplessly in the animal realm. Through Kunta Zampo's prayer, may you beings who have fallen into the dark pit of ignorance shine the light of mindfulness and thereby achieve wisdom free from thought. All you Buddhas, beings of the three realms, are actually identical to Buddhas, the ground of all, but your misunderstanding of the ground causes you to go astray, so you act without aim. The 6 karmic actions are a delusion, like a dream. I am the primordial Buddha, here to train the 6 kinds of beings through all my manifestations. Through Kunta Zampo's prayer, may all you beings, without exception, attain enlightenment in the state of Dharmadhatu. Aho. Hereafter, whenever a very powerful yogin, with his or her awareness radiant and free from delusion, recites this very powerful prayer, then all who hear it will achieve enlightenment within 3 lifetimes. During a solar or lunar eclipse, during an earthquake, or when the earth rumbles, at the solstices or the new year, you should visualize Kunta Zampo, and if you pray loudly so all can hear, the beings of the 3 realms will gradually be liberated from suffering through the prayer of the yogin and will finally achieve enlightenment. Ho, everything, appearance and existence, samsara and nirvana has a single ground, yet 2 paths and 2 fruitions, and magically displays as awareness or unawareness. Through Kunta Zampo's prayer, may all beings become Buddhas, completely perfected in the abode of Dharmadhatu. The ground of all is uncompounded, and the self arising great expanse beyond expression has neither the name samsara nor nirvana. Realizing just this, you are a Buddha. Not realizing this, you are a being wandering in samsara. I pray that all you beings of the 3 realms may realize the true meaning of the inexpressible ground. I, Kunta Zampo, have realized the truth of this ground, free from cause and condition, which is just this self-arising awareness. It is unstained by outer expression and inner thought, affirmation or denial, and is not defiled by the darkness of unmindfulness. Thus, this self-manifesting display is free from defects. I, Kunta Zampo, abide as intrinsic awareness. Even though the 3 realms were to be destroyed, there is no fear. There is no attachment to the 5 desirable qualities of sense objects. In self-arising consciousness free of thoughts, there is neither solid form nor the 5 poisons. In the unceasing clarity of awareness, singular in essence, there yet arises the display of the 5 wisdoms. From the ripening of these 5 wisdoms, the 5 original Buddha families emerge, and through the expanse of their wisdom, the 42 peaceful Buddhas appear. Through the arising power of the 5 wisdoms, the 60 wrathful Herukas manifest. Thus, the ground awareness is never mistaken or wrong. I, Kunta Zampo, am the original Buddha of all, and through this prayer of mine, may all you beings who wander in the 3 realms of samsara realize this self-arising awareness, and may your great wisdom spontaneously increase. My emanations will continuously manifest in billions of unimaginable ways. appearing in forms to help you beings who can be trained. Through my compassionate prayer, may all you beings who wander in the 3 realms of samsara escape from the 6 life forms. From the beginning, you beings are deluded because you do not recognize the awareness of the ground. Being thus unmindful of what occurs is delusion, the very state of unawareness, and the cause of going astray. From this delusive state comes a sudden fainting away, and then a subtle consciousness of wavering fear. From that wavering there arises a separation of self and the perception of others as enemies. Gradually, the tendency of separation strengthens, and from this the circle of samsara begins. Then the emotions of the 5 poisons develop. The actions of these emotions are endless. You beings lack awareness because you are unmindful, and this is the basis of your going astray. Through my prayer, may all you beings recognize your intrinsic awareness. Innate unawareness means unmindfulness and distraction. Imputing unawareness means dualistic thoughts towards self and others. Both kinds of unawareness are the basis for the delusion of all beings. Through Kunta Zampo's prayer, may all you beings wandering in samsara clear away the dark fog of unmindfulness, clear away clinging thoughts of duality. May you recognize your own intrinsic awareness. Dualistic thoughts create doubt. From subtle attachment to this dualistic turn of mind, dualistic tendencies become stronger and thicker. Food, wealth, clothes, home, and friends, the 5 objects of the senses, and your beloved family. All these things cause torment by creating longing and desire. These are all worldly delusions. The activity of grasping and clinging are endless. When the fruition of attachment ripens, you are born as a hungry ghost, tormented by coveting and desiring, miserable, starving, and thirsty. Through Kunta Zampo's prayer, may all you desirous and lustful beings who have attachments neither reject longing desires nor accept attachment to desires. Let your consciousness relax in its own natural state, and then your awareness will be able to hold its own. May you achieve the wisdom of perfect discernment. When external objects appear, the subtle consciousness of fear will arise. From this fear, the habit of anger becomes stronger and stronger. Finally, hostility comes, causing violence and murder. When fruition of this anger ripens, you will suffer in hell by boiling and burning. Through Kunta Zampo's prayer, you beings of the 6 realms, when strong anger arises for you, neither reject nor accept it. Instead, relax in the natural state and achieve the wisdom of clarity. When your mind becomes full of pride, there will arise thoughts of competition and humiliation. As this pride becomes stronger and stronger, you will experience the suffering of quarrels and abuse. When the fruition of this karma ripens, you will be born in the God realms and experience the suffering of change and the falling to lower rebirths. Through Kunta Zampo's prayer, may you beings who develop pride, let your consciousness relax in the natural state. Then your awareness will be able to hold its own. May you achieve the wisdom of equanimity. By increasing the habit of duality, by praising yourself and denigrating others, your competitive mind will lead you to jealousy and fighting, and you will be born in the jealous God realm, where there is much killing and injury. From the result of that killing, you will fall into the hell realm. Through Kunta Zampo's prayer, when jealousy and competitive thoughts arise, do not grasp them as enemies. Just relax and ease. Then consciousness can hold its own natural state. May you achieve the wisdom of unobstructed action. By being distracted, careless, and unmindful, you beings will become dull, foggy, and forgetful. By being unconscious and lazy, you will increase your ignorance, and the fruition of this ignorance will be to wander helplessly in the animal realm. Through Kunduzampo's prayer, may you beings who have fallen into the dark pit of ignorance shine the light of mindfulness and thereby achieve wisdom free from thought. All you beings of the three realms are actually identical to Buddha as the ground of all, but your misunderstanding of the ground causes you to go astray. So you act without aim. The 6 karmic actions are a delusion, like a dream. I am the primordial Buddha, here to train the 6 kinds of beings through all of my manifestations. Through Kunduzampo's prayer, may all you beings, without exception, attain enlightenment in the state of Dharmadhatu. Aho. Hereafter, whenever a very powerful yogin, with his or her awareness radiant and free from delusion, recites this very powerful prayer, then all who hear it will achieve enlightenment within 3 lifetimes. During a solar or lunar eclipse, during an earthquake, or when the earth rumbles, the solstices or the new year, you should visualize Kunduzampo. And if you pray loudly so all can hear, then the beings of the 3 realms will gradually be liberated from suffering through the prayer of the yogin and will finally achieve enlightenment. Whole, everything, appearance and existence, samsara and nirvana, has a single ground and yet 2 paths and 2 fruitions, and magically displays as awareness or unawareness. Through Kunduzampo's prayer, may all beings become Buddhas, completely perfected in the abode of Dharmadhatu. The ground of all is uncompounded, and the self arising great expanse beyond expression has neither the name samsara nor nirvana. Realizing just this, you are a Buddha. Not realizing this, you are a being wandering in samsara. I pray that all you beings of the 3 realms may realize the true meaning of the inexpressible ground. I, Kunduzampo, have realized the truth of this ground, free from cause and condition, which is just the self-arising awareness. It is unstained by outer expression and inner thought, affirmation or denial, and is not defiled by the darkness of unmindfulness. Thus, this self-manifesting display is free from defects. I, Kunduzampo, abide as intrinsic awareness. Even though the 3 realms were to be destroyed, there is no fear. There is no attachment to the 5 desirable qualities of sense objects. In self-arising consciousness free of thoughts, there is neither solid form nor the 5 poisons. In the unceasing clarity of awareness, singular in essence, there yet arises the display of the 5 wisdoms. From the ripening of these 5 wisdoms, the 5 original Buddha families merge, and through the expanse of their wisdom, the 42 peaceful Buddhas appear. Through the arising power of the 5 wisdoms, the 60 wrathful Herukas manifest. Thus, the ground awareness is never mistaken or wrong. I, Kunduzampo, am the original Buddha of all, and through this prayer of mine, may all you beings who wander in the 3 realms of samsara realize the self-arising awareness, and may your great wisdom spontaneously increase. My emanations will continuously manifest in billions of unimaginable ways, appearing in forms to help you beings who can be trained. Through my compassionate prayer, may all you beings who wander in the 3 realms of samsara escape from the 6 life forms. From the beginning, you beings are deluded because you do not recognize the awareness of the ground. Being thus unmindful of what occurs is delusion, the very state of unawareness and the cause of going astray. From this delusive state comes a sudden fainting away, and then a subtle consciousness of wavering fear. From that wavering there arises the separation of self, and the perception of others as enemies. Gradually, the tendency of separation strengthens, and from this, the circle of samsara begins. Then the emotions of the 5 poisons develop. The actions of these emotions are endless. You beings lack awareness because you are unmindful, and this is the basis of your going astray. Through my prayer, may all you beings recognize your intrinsic awareness. Innate unawareness means unmindfulness and distraction. Imputing unawareness means dualistic thoughts towards self and others. Both kinds of unawareness are the basis for the delusion of all beings. Through Kuntu Zampo's prayer, may all you beings wandering in samsara clear away the dark fog of unmindfulness, clear away clinging thoughts of duality. May you recognize your own intrinsic awareness. Dualistic thoughts create doubt. From subtle attachment to this dualistic turn of mind, dualistic tendencies become stronger and thicker. Food, wealth, clothes, home, and friends, the 5 objects of the senses and your beloved family, all these things cause torment by creating longing and desire. These are all worldly delusions. The activities of grasping and clinging are endless. When the fruition of attachment ripens, you are born as a hungry ghost, tormented by coveting and desiring, miserable, starving, and thirsty. Through Kuntu Zampo's prayer, may all you desirous and lustful beings who have attachments neither reject longing desires nor accept attachment to desires. Let your consciousness relax in its own natural state. Then your awareness will be able to hold its own. May you achieve the wisdom of perfect discernment. When external objects appear, the subtle consciousness of fear will arise. From this fear, the habit of anger becomes stronger and stronger. Finally, hostility comes, causing violence and murder. When the fruition of this anger ripens, you will suffer in hell by boiling and burning. Through Kuntu Zampo's prayer, you beings of the 6 realms, when strong anger arises for you, neither reject nor accept it. Instead, relax in the natural state and achieve the wisdom of clarity. When your mind becomes full of pride, there will arise thoughts of competition and humiliation. As this pride becomes stronger and stronger, you will experience the suffering of quarrels and abuse. When the fruition of this karma ripens, you will be born in the God realms and experience the suffering of change and falling to lower rebirths. Through Kuntu Zampo's prayer, may you beings who develop pride, let your consciousness relax in the natural state. Then your awareness will be able to hold its own. May you achieve the wisdom of equanimity. By increasing the habit of duality, by praising yourself and denigrating others, your competitive mind will lead you to jealousy and fighting, and you will be born in the jealous God realm, where there is much killing and injury. From the result of that killing, you will fall into the hell realm. Through Kuntu Zampo's prayer, when jealousy and competitive thoughts arise, do not grasp them as enemies. Just relax and ease, then consciousness can hold its own natural state. May you achieve the wisdom of unobstructed action. By being distracted, careless, and unmindful, you beings will become dull, foggy, and forgetful. By being unconscious and lazy, you will increase your ignorance, and the fruition of this ignorance will be to wander helplessly in the animal realm. Through Kuntu Zampo's prayer, may you beings who have fallen into the dark pit of ignorance shine the light of mindfulness and thereby achieve wisdom free from thought. All you beings of the 3 realms are actually identical to Buddha as the ground of all, but your misunderstanding of the ground causes you to go astray, so you act without aim. The 6 karmic actions are a delusion, like a dream. I am the primordial Buddha here to train the 6 kinds of beings through all my manifestations. Through Kuntu Zampo's prayer, may all you beings, without exception, attain enlightenment in the state of Dharma Dhatu. Aho. Hereafter, whenever a very powerful yogin, with his or her awareness radiant and free from delusion, recites this very powerful prayer, then all who hear it will achieve enlightenment within 3 lifetimes. During a solar or a lunar eclipse, during an earthquake, or when the earth rumbles, at the solstices or the new year, you should visualize Kuntruzampo, and if you pray loudly so all can hear, the beings of the 3 realms will gradually liberated from suffering through the prayer of the yogin and will finally achieve enlightenment.
And so then Rinpoche said to read the closing prayers in the yellow prayer book, starting on page 18 with Lord Jigten Sumgön's dedication, and all the way until the Chenrezig supplication.
Okay, so page 18. Great Vajradhara, Telopa, Naropa, Marpa, Milarepa, Dharma Lord Gampopa, Bhagmadrupa, and Lord Drigungpa, may the auspiciousness of all the Kagyu Lamas prevail. Glorious, holy, venerable, precious, kind root and lineage gurus, divine assembly of yidams and assemblies of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, heroes and heroines, Yogini and her assembly of Dakinis, all of you dwelling in the 10 directions, please heed me. By the power of this vast root of virtue, may I benefit all beings through my body, speech, and mind. May the afflictions of attachment, hatred, ignorance, pride, and jealousy not arise in my mind. May thoughts of fame, reputation, respect, honor, and concern for this life not arise for even a moment. May my mind stream be moistened by loving kindness, compassion, and bodhichitta, and may I become a spiritual master with good qualities equal to the infinity of space. May I gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra in this very time. At the moment of death, may I not experience the suffering of being abruptly severed from this life. May I not suffer a terrible death. May I not die confused by wrong views. May I not experience an untimely death. May I die joyfully and happily in the great luminosity of the mind itself and in the crystal clarity of Dharmata. May I, in any case, gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra at the time of death or in the Bardo. For this realm encircled by snow-covered mountains, you are the source of all benefit and happiness. Tenzin Gyamso Lord Chenrezig, may you remain steadfast until the end of samsara. Embodiment of the 3 jewels, great being who upholds and increasing the teachings of the Shakya lion, supreme are your activities of guiding others with your perfect deeds. May you, the precious Guru, who accomplishes everything spontaneously, live long. Holder of the teachings of Lord Drigungpa, the great Lord of 3 jewels, through the power of your peerless compassion, the holy Dharma's peace and light, you bring relief to beings. May your life be long. The one known in the noble land as Aryadeva, emanated into the Gar clan of eastern Tibet as Tridingpa, the heart son of Jigten Gunpo. May the life of the glorious Garchen remain steadfast for 100 aeons. Crown of the Shakyas, kind friend to strangers, 17 great Panditas, Telopa, Naropa, Marpa, Milarepa, Gampopa, Jigten Sumgön, and their lineage heirs, please bestow good fortune and auspiciousness. Protector Amitayas, transcendent Lord, who grants supreme life, everlasting, stable, and unchanging, who diverts from untimely death anyone who merely hears your name or thinks of you, please bestow good fortune and auspiciousness. Living austerely in the higher training of discipline, full of compassion that is the glory of those to be tamed, devoid of all grasping, never parting from Mahamudra's natural state, Ngeden Tenpe Nima, son of the teachings, may your life remain firm. May the teachings of the great Drigungpa, Ratnashri, Master of interdependence, omniscient Lord of Dharma, who has seen all knowable things, be upheld until the end of cyclic existence through study, practice, hearing, contemplation, and meditation. Your 1,000 arms are the 1,000 wheel-turning kings. Your 1,000 eyes are the 1,000 Buddhas of this fortunate aeon. Your love is boundless like space. I supplicate to the Bodhisattva Chenrezig.
And also Dashi Dele to everyone who is following us on the live stream, and long life.
Thank you.